Yeah, so what we discussed in our last session, this is not relevant to you. Don't worry about this notepad. Let me close this. Okay, so what we discussed in our last class, we understood what exactly is SAP S4 HANA, right? Why do we need SAP S4 HANA? What is the basic difference between HANA and S4 HANA? Okay, and what are the new things which are available in S4 HANA compared to SAP ECC? Okay, so we understood there are three important things that we should remember in SAP S4 HANA. Number one is S4 HANA uses HANA database, which is providing us the speed, which is much faster compared to the way in which we were executing the transactions in ECC. So number one is HANA database, which is providing us the speed. Number two is SAP Fiori, which is providing us the user interface, which is providing us new user interface. And number three, it is providing the simplified functionalities. So not only the speed and the new user interface, but some functionalities are also simplified. For example, the reconciliation issues that we were facing in SAP ECC from FI and CO point of view, those reconciliation issues are gone because there is a new table in place which is going to make sure that all your data is reconciled and available at one single place, right? So apart from that, in our last session, we also understood the basic concepts like what is in memory, what is column-based data storage, right? We understood the HANA capabilities, why HANA is faster. Okay, HANA is faster because it stores the data in RAM. HANA is faster because it stores the data in the column-based data form. So three things that we discussed, HANA, Fiori, and simplified processes, out of which HANA topics we already completed. We understood why HANA is faster. So what are we going to do today is we are going to discuss about Fiori. What exactly is Fiori? How Fiori is better than the traditional GUI? How to access SAP Fiori apps? How to provide the necessary roles and authorizations to the end users? And what are the different kind of applications available on Fiori? Okay, so our today's session will concentrate on Fiori. So first of all, what is Fiori? What do you know about Fiori? Can you tell me what exactly is Fiori according to you?
Fiori is a new user interface, and it is provides the three layers, basically transaction apps and analytics and fact sheet.
Okay, yes. So in short, it is a new user interface. So when we say new user interface, what about the existing interface? Can I use the existing interface also, or only option in S4 HANA is to use the new interface?
Both we can use.
We can use both, right? Which means if I show you the glimpse of SAP S4 HANA system, so let me log on to the SAP logon pad. So through logon pad, I can still continue to use SAP application, right? You can see this is a S4 HANA 1909 application, which is still allowing me to access via the logon pad where I can enter the client, I can enter the user ID and password in the same way as I was doing in SAP ECC. So this is the classical user interface. This is nothing new. This is the same interface that I was using earlier. Now, in addition to this, SAP has provided the new user interface also. So it is up to the customers whether they want to use this classical interface or they want to use the new user interface. Okay, so there are some customers who are implementing S4 HANA, but they are not implementing SAP Fiori as of now. Maybe they will be doing in the phase two. So first priority is set up all the business processes in the system. And number two priority is we will start using SAP Fiori apps. There are some other customers who are implementing SAP and right from day one, they want to use SAP Fiori. And there is definitely, if you are going for cloud, if you are going for SAP S4 HANA Cloud, the only option is SAP Fiori. In case of cloud, you don't have the option of using this traditional GUI anymore. Even SPRO, you will not be able to access SPRO using this traditional GUI, right? So how are you going to access SAP Fiori? How are you going to uh, see the link related to SAP Fiori. So there are two ways of accessing Fiori. Number one is if you are already logged in into the traditional GUI or classical GUI, from here you can write this transaction slash UI2 slash FLP. Okay, so just to remember this, UI stands for user interface and FLP stands for Fiori Launchpad. Okay, so if you double click on this, it will take you to the web user interface. Okay, Fiori is completely web based. Okay, and you'll be able to actually open it in any browser. Okay, in this case, I'm opening with the Google Chrome because it works best with the Google Chrome, but it is your choice. Okay, so you may find some of the guys who are saying it works best with Internet Explorer, others will say it works with Google Chrome. So it is your choice whether you want to work on which browser. Okay, so you can see when I use this link, okay, what is happening is whenever I'm going for this transaction slash UI2 slash FLP, what this transaction is doing, this is taking me to this link, okay, this particular link. Now, another option is if I don't want to go again and again by traditional GUI, it is not unnecessarily required, right? I don't need to log in through traditional GUI and then double click on this activity. Instead of that, what I can do is I can simply create this link as my favorites. Okay, this is a web link. I can use it from anywhere provided I have the necessary authorizations. Okay, so if it is controlled by VPN, then definitely outside your company network, you may not be able to see anything on this link. Okay, but as long as this is a web link and if the access is open, I can use it from anywhere, right? So you can directly use this link to connect to Fiori also. It is not necessary that every time you go to the traditional GUI and from traditional GUI you will enter this transaction. Not required. Okay, so if you already have this link, you will be able to see the screen. So let's compare this with traditional GUI. So when I double click on this logon pad, okay, I get this login screen which asks me for client, user, password, and language. But in this case, this is also a login page from Fiori. In this case, it is not asking me for client. It is only asking user, password, and language. Okay, and that two languages are not completely supported as of now. If you want more number of languages, definitely you need to contact your Fiori consultant and they will activate it for you. Okay, but forget about language. What about client? Why system is not asking client here? Any idea? Does it mean there is no client concept in Fiori? Is it possible? Can we work on SAP system without the client concept?
So client is still there in Fury to my knowledge actually.
Right? Client is still there, but why then system is not asking for client in case of Fiori?
I couldn't. I don't know how to.
Okay. Anyone else who wants to try it out why client is not required? Okay, let me tell the reason. There is a very straightforward reason. We are using the link, and this link has already the client information, which means if there are multiple clients, if you have client 400, if you have client 800, then you will be getting two separate links. Okay, so this link already has a client information, and it is not necessary that you will be able to see the client, right? In this case, I'm connecting to client 400, but I cannot see that in link because when this link is set up by the Fiori consultant, at that time, they provide the client. Okay, so just don't normally, as in various blogs also, very initial blogs, like not from the experts, but there are many places where I read the client concept is not there in Fiori. That is not possible at all, right? Client is definitely required. Only thing is you don't need to specify the client here because for each and every client you will be getting a separate link. Okay, so when I'm using this link, this is by default connected to client 400, and that is the reason I don't need to provide client number again. Okay, but it is same, so it is still asking you client, user ID, password, and language. Client is coming by default and it is asking you other details. Now question number 2, what about the user ID and password? Do I need a separate user ID and password for Fiori? or I can use the same user ID and password that I'm already using for classical GUI.
We can use the same user ID and password.
It will be the same user ID, right?
Yeah.
Will be the same user ID and password? Yes. So just remember, we don't need separate user ID and password to connect to Fiori because user is created in the system. User is not created separately for classical GUI and for Fiori. User is created in the database. So once your user is already created in the database, you can access the transactions from your Fiori or from the traditional GUI. So your user ID and password would be exactly same to connect to both. So I'll enter my user ID and password, which is same as what I used in classical GUI. Now in this case, if you see what has happened is, normally if I come from here, normally if I double click on this, I already logged in, right? My user ID and password are already available when I logged in into the traditional GUI. So normally when I log in into this, what happens is it will not ask you for user ID and password again in Fiori. It will automatically open the home screen. Okay, but that is a setting that your Fiori consultants make. So they can allow without entering user ID and password. If someone comes from here and double click here, it can go to the home page directly, or they can also configure in such a way that even if you are going from here, system will ask you the user ID and password. Okay, so just enter your user ID and password and press log on. What is this? Let's try once again. Don't know what was that error, but normally it works like this. So this is how you will be able to see the SAP Fiori home screen. This is called as a home screen, or you can call it as a launchpad. Okay, so what is a home screen and why it is called as a launchpad? Once you enter your credentials, once you enter your username and password, you will be taken to the home screen. Now in this home screen, you will be only able to see those transactions for which you have the authorization. Okay, so just remember SAP Fiori is completely role based. If you have a proper role, then only you will be able to see any particular app. If you don't have any role, then you will not be able to see any app available in your Fiori Launchpad. Right? So the question is, when I logged in with my user ID, you can see there are thousands of apps which I'm able to see. Okay, this is because my user ID, if I show you my user ID, can you tell me where exactly I can assign the roles to my user ID, which is the transaction where you go and
PS,
assign the
PSCG, PS.
PFCG
PFCG
is
or
to create
SUIM?
a
SU
role.
SUIM.
SU01.
Right.
Sorry,
PFCG is to create a role and
Okay.
SU01 is to assign the role. Right. So I'll enter my user ID. Let's see what roles are
Yes.
assigned to my user ID. So you can see there are a lot of roles assigned, and that is the reason I'm able to see a lot of different things here. But if I don't want to see all these things, I just want to see, let's say, only one role I will assign and I will remove all the other roles. So let's say I want to delete all these things. Okay, admin, keep it as it is because admin is related to the technical Fiori. Otherwise, Fiori screen will disappear. But otherwise, all the functionality related apps like purchaser, warehousing clerk, order fulfillment, inventory manager, or maybe in this case, I don't have anything assigned on finance. I can assign that also. So let's first delete it and save it. Right. So now I have only limited roles assigned. So if I go to Fiori once again and try to refresh the screen, I'll be only able to see few apps which are relevant to that particular role. You can see now only how much 10, 15 apps. No, sorry, even more than that. So it is still loading. So in this particular role also there are a lot of apps. That is the reason I'm able to see all these things. Let's remove this also. Okay, so what I'll do is I will remove this particular role also and see what happens. So delete and click on save. Again, if I go and refresh this, now you can see I'm only allowed to see the admin related apps. I don't have any access to any functionality, right? So by default, if you are not assigning any role to your to your user from here, then the user will not be able to see anything on Fiori. But there is one catch here. Now, if I show you one thing, if you see my profiles, my user ID is already assigned to SAP_all, which is SAP all. What do you mean by SAP all? Whom we assign this SAP all access?
Usually to consultants.
Sorry?
Usually to consultants.
Uh,
Basically,
Super user.
the managers, maybe the
To
directors.
cons
yeah,
Usually
it
to
can be anyone,
consultants.
but the person who we want to give the complete access, right? Full
Complete
access.
access. Full access.
It
Admin.
should not be an authorization problem. If I give SAP all, this person would be able to see everything, whatever is available in the system, right?
Yes.
So if that is the case, if I already have SAP all access provided to my user, then why I'm not able to see the Fiori screen? Why I'm only able to see few Fiori apps?
The roles are not, Fury roles are not assigned.
Exactly. So there is a difference between the classical roles and Fiori roles. So when I say SAP all is assigned to my user ID, this doesn't mean that I'll be able to see all the Fiori apps because this SAP all is for classical GUI. In classical GUI, I can go to each transaction. I can go to any transaction if I want to create a purchase order, or if I want to book the supplier invoice, or maybe if I want to create a GL account. So I can do everything in case of traditional GUI because I have the access of SAP all. But the problem is SAP all will not give you the access of Fiori. The reason is Fiori apps or Fiori roles are completely independent of the normal classic GUI roles. Okay, let's take an example. You are implementing SAP S/4HANA for one customer. Now, this customer is assigned to roles related to purchasing in the classical GUI, which means he is able to go and create a purchase order. He is going for ME21 and without any problem, he is able to create a purchase order. Another user who is accountant, he is trying to go to FB70, he is trying to post the invoice. But when they are logging into SAP Fiori, they are not able to see create purchase order app. They are not able to see post incoming invoice app. So do you think that if I assign the role related to classical GUI, that will automatically give him the role to use Fiori? That is not the case.
You
SAP
have to
Fiori,
that only you
sorry,
are adding it as a favorite, right? Then only that tiles will appear, right?
no. Favorite tiles is different. Favorite tiles will come only when you have the required roles. If you don't have the roles, the app will not appear at all in your favorites.
Okay, okay.
Right? So first thing is you need to have the proper roles. If the roles are assigned to you, then only you will be able to see that under your favorites, right? So even if you have all the access required to work on the classical GUI, it is not necessary that your Fiori screen will show you those particular apps. Are you clear with this now? I just wanted
No,
to communicate that roles
I
are
I have
completely
one
different.
I have one query. Roles are
Yes.
different roles are required, or in same role we can assign the objects so that it will work.
No, see, I'm talking about the standard roles. But if you want to create the Z roles, then you can combine both. That is perfectly fine.
Okay.
The standard roles which are delivered by SAP are different for classical GUI and for Fiori. There is a reason. Okay, normally you will not allow the user to log in through traditional GUI also or Fiori also. For the end user, it will be very confusing if you ask him either you do this or you do that. You need to give the very clear instructions to the user whenever you are creating the user manual also. You cannot say, okay, go and try to use ME21N or you go to Fiori and try to use create purchase order. You have to give only one instruction, right? So if a customer is using Fiori, there is no need to provide the roles related to classical GUI. On the other hand, if a customer is using classical GUI, then there is no need to provide the roles for Fiori. So you will be only giving whatever is recommended or whatever is opted by the customer, whether they want to use classic GUI or they will use Fiori. Most of the time, from the end user point of view, you don't want to confuse them by giving both the options, right?
Okay. But there is one more problem. Let's suppose we will do some development work. Then he need the access of Fiori for development as well as quality server. Then these facilities available.
Yes, yes, yes. Fiori is also available on development quality. There is a separate link. See,
Okay.
this link what we are connecting, let's say this is for the development server and for client 400. So for quality server, there will be different link. The link that you will be using is different. And similarly, you will be having the separate backend as you have today, right? So this, let's say this is my development system, whatever roles I'm assigning to the development client, same roles may not be available in the quality. In the quality, you can give different roles.
Okay.
So Fiori link is separate for development, for quality, even within quality or development, if you have multiple clients, you have a separate link for Fiori. So it is completely independent of each other. Development quality are completely independent of each other. Clear?
Okay.
Okay. Now let's take a simple example. Okay. Now we are talking about those things which will come in the project. So you are implementing SAP S/4HANA for one of the customer, and this customer was using traditional GUI till now. Obviously, there was Fiori was available in SAP ECC also, but it was not up to that mark, and that is the reason customer was not using Fiori. Now customer has decided that they will only use SAP Fiori in S/4HANA, and customer has given you the list. Let's take example in Excel. Customer has given you the list that this user one will need the access of create purchase order. This will also need the access of book supplier invoice. This user will also get to post the payment. Okay, and this will also get the see the display vendor balances. Okay, so let's say this user is already assigned to whatever roles are required from the traditional GUI point of view. But now your task is to make sure that when this user is logging through Fiori also, he has the access of all these apps. Okay, so how will you start? How will you identify which apps are available from SAP to create a purchase order, to book the supplier invoice, to make the payment, and to display the vendor balances? Because in Fiori, I cannot use the transaction codes. In traditional GUI, classical GUI, I can use the transaction codes, but in Fiori, we don't have the access of transaction codes. So how will you verify which app you will allow to the end user? How will you start?
Maybe SAP will provide the link to access the apps and give
SAP
the
will.
related.
We need to add those tiles, right? That is what you're driving in.
No, but how will you add the tiles? You are right. We definitely need to
Yeah,
add these
and the
tiles.
home page we can search and then add, correct? In the Fury.
No, no, no. See, the thing is, okay, let's try with your scenario. So you are saying I will search here. So as of now, my user ID, just give me a minute. As of now, my user ID has only this much access, right? To my user, if I want to give the access of post outgoing payments, so do you mean I will search here and I will say I want to use this?
No, there is a Fiori admin where you can give the permission or the tile permission to the user.
No, just give me a minute. I'm just trying the option that Ramesh told. So he's saying I will search for the app here and I will fill in and I will make it available here, right, Ramesh?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah, so that is not possible because you will be only able to search those your apps for which you have the authorization. If you don't have the authorization, you even will not be able to search for that particular app.
Okay.
Okay, so as of now, these are the only options available. If you want to delete any of this app, that is available with you. You can delete any of this app, but you cannot bring in the new app for which you don't have the rules, right? So let's understand how are you going to take care of this requirement. Number one, what you will try to do here is just try to write the transaction code. I immediately unmute all of you to mute yourself. There is some background noise and go ahead with your question. So what are the transaction code to create a purchase order? ME21N. What is the transaction code to book the supplier invoice? We were using transaction AP60, for example. What is the transaction code to post the payment? Let's say F-53 or maybe automatic payment program. So you can use F110 also. And display vendor balances is, let's say, FK10N. Okay, so these are the different transactions what we were using in case of traditional GUI. Now we want the corresponding Fiori apps. Which Fiori app I should use to create a purchase order? Which app I should use to book the supplier invoice? So what you are going to do is just remember one link, which is very important link. Go to Google and write SAP Fiori apps library. Okay, SAP Fiori apps library. It will open this link, fioriappslibrary.hana.ondemand.com. Just open this. Okay, and this is a link which has all the information of all the apps, Fiori apps, which are available till today. Okay, so I'll click on all apps, right? And here you just write the transaction code. Okay, so the first one I want is I want a corresponding app for ME21N. I don't know what apps are provided by SAP to create a purchase order. So I will just write ME21N and click on search. What system will do is system will give me the list of all those Fiori apps which are relevant to this transaction, which means all those Fiori apps using which you can create a purchase order. Okay, so you can see create purchase order, create purchase order. So there are different options and manage purchase order. This manage purchase order is a new app which was not available in traditional GUI at all. Okay, manage purchase order means single screen which will allow you to create a purchase order, change a purchase order, display a purchase order. So normally what we do is we use ME21N to create, ME22N to change, and ME23N to display. Okay, instead of that, one single app which will allow you to do all the three things. So for example, I identified this app and I want to provide the necessary authorization of this particular app to my user. Or maybe I want to use this particular app and I want to make sure that my user is authorized to access this particular app. So what I need to do is I need the role. I need to know which role I should assign to the end user so that that user is able to see this particular transaction. So what you need to do is click on this. Okay, it will open this screen for you. Okay, and once the screen is opened, just go to the implementation information. Before that, if you want to see the details of what exactly this app is all about, some screenshots are also available if you want to see. Okay, and then you can go to the implementation information. In the implementation information, you need to select your version properly. So if you are working on 1909, you will select 1909, but it is not necessary. Let's say after this course, or maybe even now, if you are already working on SAP S/4HANA, but you are working on the previous versions. So what you will do is you will select which version you want to set up. In which version you want to set up this particular app. So as of now, I am looking for 1909, so I'll not change anything. And if you click on this configuration, okay, it will provide you a lot of technical details, but most importantly, it is providing you the roles. So it is telling you if you want to give this user this particular transaction, then these are the standard roles which are available from SAP. If I assign any of this role to my user, the user will be able to see this particular app. Let's see. So as of now, I'm only able to see this. I'm not able to see anything related to purchasing. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly copy one of this role, purchaser, and assign to my user ID. Okay, so I'll go to the roles and I'll assign this particular to my user ID. Okay, and save. So next time when you go to Fiori, okay, and if you just say refresh, it will show you all those applications, all those Fiori apps which are related to this particular role. So you can see I'm able to see most of the things which are related to purchasing. As a purchaser, I can create the purchase orders, I can monitor the purchase orders, I can manage the purchase requisitions, I can create the source of supply. So based on this role, all these applications will be available to this particular end user, right? Now, what will
But
happen if you don't want,
but
yeah, sorry.
but you have assigned only one transaction code, but here we see the multiple transaction are assigned.
No, no, no. I assigned the role. I have not assigned the transaction. I assigned the role. Within the role, there can be multiple applications.
Okay. No,
But
but
what I,
we search the ME21 transaction based role, then we assign that role to the your ID. It
right. So
means
what
in
we have
that
done
role.
is,
Hmm.
yeah, see, what we have done is we have searched for one transaction ME21N, and system is showing us this transaction is available within which role. So this transaction is available within these four roles. We copied this, but it is not necessary that this role consists of only one transaction. Normally, we don't create a role only for one transaction, right? We create a role so that multiple transactions can be combined in one single role,
Correct.
right? So we copied this role and we assigned. So this role is having lot of different apps which are available to the business. So if I assign this role, the user will be able to see all these details. But due to some reason, let's say I don't want to give all these transactions or all these Fiori apps to the user. Okay, I only want to give the partial of these apps. So what you should normally do, even in ECC, we follow the same thing. What we do?
Create separate role.
Exactly, we need to copy the standard roles. We need to create a Z role out of it, and we can divide that into two, three, four, whatever number of parts are required. Right? So SAP has provided the standard roles, same as ECC. Even in ECC, if you see your system, most of the roles that you are using are Z. But that doesn't mean that SAP has not provided the roles. SAP has provided the standard roles, but looking at our requirement, we may need to divide the main role into multiple parts. And that is the reason why we create a Z, right? So even in Fiori also, if you want to divide the roles into multiple parts, you can always create your Z roles and you can assign to the end user. Okay, so what we understood till now, SAP Fiori is a web-based portal. Okay, number one, it consists of various different apps. Which apps will appear? It depends upon the authorization. Whatever roles are assigned to you, based on that system will show you different apps. Now let's try to understand. If I go to this role, okay, so which role I assigned to my user ID? I assigned this particular role, purchaser. If you double click on this purchaser, it will take you to the PFCG screen where you'll be able to see the details of this role. And in the menu bar, you'll be able to see what are the different roles or what are the different apps which are available within this particular role. So let's compare this with this screen. See what is happening? Purchase order processing, source of supply management, purchase contract processing. Let's go and see here. So purchase order processing, source of supply management, contract processing, then you have scheduling agreement, purchase requisition processing. So you have scheduling agreement, purchase requisition processing. So these are called as groups. Okay, purchase order processing is one group within which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 apps. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 apps are part of this group. Similarly, source of supply management is another group where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 apps. In purchase contract processing, we have 3 apps. So what is happening is within each role, within this role, you have different groups. So if I copy this group, let's double click on this. It will open the group name. This is a group name. Let's copy this. Okay. And again, this is what I'm discussing currently is completely Fiori task, but this is just for your understanding how the role-based concept works in SAP Fiori. So there is another screen called as UI2/FLPD underscore customizing, which will be done by your Fiori consultant. Okay, so if you double click on this, it will again get opened in the web browser. So as I told you, I will copy this in Google Chrome. Okay, instead of Internet Explorer, there is something wrong in this server related to Internet Explorer. So just enter. Okay, this is a screen where there are multiple groups. So what we have done is we copied the group. I'm pasting it here. Sorry, it is not copied properly. What are the groups? So if I go to PFCG, this is a group. Just copy this group and paste it here. Okay, so this group, if I say search, it should show the value. Is it copied properly? Let's try once again. Purchase order processing, this should be fine. Let's go for source of supply management. Let's copy this. Yeah, maybe I'm doing wrong. I'm going for the catalogs. Not for catalogs, you need to go for groups. Just click on group. Okay, and enter your group here and click on search. You can see this is a group. If you click on this group, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 apps. Okay, in this particular group, there are 6 apps. And internally, there are links. These are the internal links, which means if you open this and within this, there are some links provided. When you click on that link, it will take you to another apps. So in short, if I assign my user to this particular group, okay, then he'll be able to see this many number of apps. Let's see. So this is source of supply management. If you go to source of supply management, this one, so manage source of supply, manage purchasing info record, like this, you have 6 apps. So if you want to create your Z role and you want to delete this manage source list from there, that you can do by changing this, okay, which is not recommended to do in the standard roles. Don't try to change anything in the standard roles because otherwise we will struggle whenever we are practicing, right? So, but if there is a requirement, then your Fiori consultant, what they will do is they will create a Z role out of it or a Z group out of it, and they will make the necessary changes. So you can add also, and you can delete also whatever is available. Okay, so just remember what we discussed is, let me start the new notepad. So user is assigned to what? In the user master, you assign role. In the role, what do you assign?
Group.
Group. In the group, you assign apps, right? There is one more level in between, which is catalog. Catalog is nothing but group of groups. Okay, let me show you. So if you go to roles, within roles, there are some groups and there are some catalogs. These are catalogs. So for example, if I double click on this, you can see this is a catalog. Within one catalog, you can have multiple groups. Let's try to copy this catalog. Okay, so let's copy this catalog and go to the screen. And instead of groups, let's go to the catalogs this time. Here you enter your catalog. what we copied just now, and click on search. So you can see under this catalog, these are the different tiles which you can directly assign, or you can assign the groups. So in catalog, you can either assign the tiles directly or you can assign the groups within it, right? So there are multiple levels. Number one is the user. Now, when the user is logging in the system, how many apps he'll be able to see, that totally depends upon which role is assigned to the user, which catalog is assigned to the role, which group is assigned to the catalog, and which apps are assigned to this group. This is very important question from Fiori point of view, which is asked in the exam. What are the different components of the role-based concept in SAP S/4HANA Fiori? Okay, they can ask you true or false. Group is a collection of apps, true or false, or apps is a collection of group. One role consists of multiple catalogs and groups, true or false, or group is a collection of catalogs. So you need to be very clear with the flow. One user may have multiple roles, one role may have multiple catalogs, one catalog may have multiple groups, and one group can have multiple apps. Clear with this now? Role-based concept, how exactly it works in SAP?
The other, okay, in this screen, right? You were saying like which is the group and which is the catalog. I'm not able to get it clearly.
Yeah, see, this is a catalog. Now, in this
Yeah.
case, the catalog that I copied, it is showing the direct apps. In the catalog, you can have the direct apps or you can have the link to the groups. So maybe I'll show you some other catalog where you'll be able to see the groups within the
Oh, in
catalog.
this there is no group. You're saying, right?
Yeah, in this particular one, there was no group.
Oh, okay, okay. That's why I'm not able to see the difference.
Let's try anything else. If I go with this, no, I think now it is directly showing you the apps, but these apps are actually coming from the groups. Let's see anyone else. I think they changed in this one now, the latest version. But let me see if I can show you in 1809. So what is happening is, okay, let's try to click on one and let's see. So these are tiles and these are the target mappings. This is how you can tell the system which app can be accessed from where. So you can see this particular app can be accessed from desktop, can be accessed from tablet, can be also accessed from the mobile phones. Okay, but if you want a particular app to be blocked, that don't want to give the authorization to use this particular app on phone, you can do it from here. So you can go into the change mode and you can change the settings, which app is allowed to be accessed from mobile, tabs, or desktops. Okay, but let me show you one example of collection of groups. No, this screen they have changed now. So there is small change in this one, but the purpose is same. Catalog is nothing but the collection of groups. Within one catalog, you have multiple groups, and within the groups, you have multiple apps. So the flow will be always like this. Okay, user can be assigned to multiple roles, multiple catalogs can be assigned to one role, multiple groups can be directly assigned to the role or via catalog, and then apps can be assigned to the group, to the catalog, or to the role directly.
Okay, thanks.
One question.
Yeah,
So basically, so far once you log into the Fairy app, we can see the groups, correct? Under the groups,
right.
we can see the apps. But where this catalog comes into the picture, we can see once you log into the as a Fairy
No,
user.
no, catalog you'll not be
Yeah,
able to see Fiori home screen. In the home screen, you'll be only able to see groups and apps. You'll not be able to see catalog, roles, and the user. It will be only groups and apps.
so catalogs can be assigned to the group or the app.
Groups can be assigned to the catalog. Let me show you. See, for
Okay.
example, in this particular scenario, I'm just giving you the example. The source of supply management and purchase contract processing. These are two groups, right? What I can do is these two groups I can combine in one catalog, and that catalog I will assign to the role, and role will be assigned to the user. So what will happen is my user is assigned to the role in which there is only one catalog. Under that catalog, I have two groups, right? And under this each group, I have this many number of apps.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so here in this screen, you'll be only able to see the groups and you'll be able to see the apps. Now, these are the standard groups which are provided to you by the standard roles. You can also create your favorites. You can also create your own groups once you are in the Launchpad. Okay, so let me show you what are the things that you can change on your own in the Launchpad,
Can you say
right?
the purchase contract processing, schedule agreement processing, or the groups, is it?
These are all groups, yes.
Okay, okay,
These are all groups consist of different number of apps within it.
okay, okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so now this SAP Fiori also allows the users to customize their layout. They can decide which app is important, which they need on day-to-day basis, and which are the apps which are not very much important, so they can move it to the last page of the Fiori screen. Okay, so what you can do is you can click on this user button here, and from the user button you can go to the edit home page. Okay, this is your home page which you want to edit. So click on edit home page. You can see now we are in the edit mode, and that is a reason system is allowing us to create the groups. Okay, you can see system is allowing us to create the groups. System is also allowing us to add the apps within the standard groups, but this will not change the main group, right? This is only for your user. Whatever you are doing here, this is only applicable to your user. Okay, so for example, in purchase order processing, we have seen that in the group there are only 6 apps. So if I add the 7th app, that will not go and change my definition of the purchase order processing group. It will only applicable for my user ID. Okay, so from the standard system, the 6 apps are appearing, but I'm adding 7th app, which will be only applicable to my user ID. Okay, so let's say I want to delete this. So although my security consultant has provided me this app, but I know that I don't use this on day-to-day basis, and I don't want to get confused unnecessarily. So I want to delete it. So what I can do is just cross it and click on close. So once you make your changes, click on close. Now you can see you are only able to see 4. You are not able to see that 5th app. Okay. Later on you realize, no, I want it back. So again, you can go to this user. You can go to this edit home page. Okay, and you can click on this app. It will show you all the available apps. Okay, so for example, you can see from the different groups, these are the different groups, and it is allowing you in which group you want to add what. So I want to go for, let's say, purchase order processing. So these are the different apps which I can bring it into my main screen. So I want to add this create purchase order screen to my purchase order processing group. If I click on this and click on close, okay, just by going back, is it going back? Yeah, going back and click on close. So you can see this app has been added. Sorry, not here. It would be in the purchase order processing. Where is purchase order processing? Purchase order processing is here. So you can see this create purchase order screen has been added. This we added just now. So as of now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in purchase order processing. If I want to reset it, if I want to go to the basic settings, what was already there. So if you click on reset, it will remove all those changes that you made, and it will make as it is. So you can see manage purchase requisition is back, right? Again, if you delete it and now you don't remember what exactly you have done, so you just click on the reset button, it will bring to the standard settings. Okay, which means this will again come back. Just like favorites, now I have this different groups, but I want to create purchase requisition and create purchase order. I want this apps to be available in my favorites. So what I can do is I can click on add groups. Okay, it will ask me the name of the group that you want to give. So I want to give this name as favorites. Okay, and click on new. It will give me the list of all the apps which are allowed to my user ID. See, it is not showing anything related to sales. It is not showing anything related to finance. Why? Because this user can only select from those apps for which he has the authorization. Okay, so I want to see the procurement overview page, and I want to see maybe create purchase requisition or manage purchase requisition, which will be available within purchase requisition. So requirement processing. So this is create purchase requisition. I want to add this. I want to add display purchase requisition also. So whatever you are selecting, it is getting highlighted here, right? And once you are done, so we added 3 apps under our favorites. Okay, so within the favorites, you'll be able to see those 3 apps. Why it is not showing? It should show those 3 apps. Let's try once again. So procurement overview page has been added to favorites. Let's come out and see. Yes, this is how it should look like. So click on new, select my inbox, select material price variance. I'm just selecting randomly. Just go back, you'll be able to see those things are added. So whatever you think I need on day-to-day basis, that should appear on top. You can create your own group and it will appear. But this group will not get created in the library. This group will not automatically get created here because this is a custom group that you are creating for your user. It has nothing to do with the groups which are already available by the system, right? So whatever changes you are making, this is only relevant to your own user. So you are customizing your own screen without changing any settings in the standard groups and catalogs, right? So you can delete, you can add, you can create a new group, and once you are done with your changes, you can close it, right? So you can see favorites are appearing on top, which means whatever transactions you need on day-to-day basis, you can keep on adding here and you don't need to worry about all others things, right? There are some other things also which you can do using this edit home page, or maybe let's go to the settings. In settings, you have the appearance. I think it is blocked in this particular case. Let's see, just wait for a minute. Yeah, I think it is blocked. I'm not allowed to change. No, it is slow, so it will come. Yeah, it has come now. So let's try once again. Settings, appearance. So you can see these are the themes. Okay, similar to you have themes in traditional GUI also, right? So if you want to change the color, if you want to go for the white color, if you want to go for the black color. So for example, I will go with this one. Okay, once you are done this, click on save. So you can see the complete appearance has been changed. So you can decide what color you want to see. You can decide which apps you want to bring up, which apps you want to delete it from your launchpad. So this is completely done by the user. Okay, you don't need any consultant or any special privilege to do this. Any user who has the access to Fiori, he has the access to modify his own homepage and his own settings related to the theme. Okay, even if you go to the display settings, there are some other things. Optimize for touch input. This is mainly for the mobile device. Animation, if again, this is mainly divided for the mobile, this designed for the mobile. So it is not applicable here. Homepage we already discussed. show all content or show one group at a time. So if I say show one group at a time, see what will happen. So whenever you click on a particular group, it will only show you the activities related to that particular group. Okay, it will not unnecessarily load all the apps. It will only load the apps which is for the group which is selected.
Hello, Vikram, we are not able to hear you. There's some problem.
Hello, Gaurav.
Hello, is there a problem with everyone? Like we are not able to hear Vikram?
Yes, yes, same problem.
Yeah, I think we got some message in the right that there's some technical difficulty the host is facing, I think. So maybe he's able.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, yes, Gaurav.
now we
Yeah,
can hear.
sorry, there was a network disconnection. The power goes off and took time to restore. Okay. Can you see my screen now also?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Okay. So I was explaining you this one. From the settings, you can go and you can tell the system that I want to see one group at a time. Okay, so instead of showing all the content, when you select a group, it will only show you that particular content. So you can go for show all content or you can go for show one group at a time. Okay, and also the default values. Now, for example, I am a user and I want by default, I should be only able to see my company code. So I don't want to provide company code again and again. I want to make sure that whenever I log in with my user ID, system automatically propose the company code, system automatically propose the currency settings. Even if you want to propose material, plant, supplier, you can enter all those things here. So system will by default, every time you don't need to enter all these details, system will already propose these values to you. Okay, so let's say if I'm mainly, this is from the reporting point of view. From the transactional point of view is also fine. But when you are generating the analytical reports, you don't need to again and again select that I want to see the information for this particular plant or this particular company code. Automatically, system will by default show you that particular company code details. And then if you want to change, you can change it. Again, provided you have the necessary authorizations for other company codes. So if you are a user and you already only have the access to one company code, only that information will be available to you. So that is not a new thing. Even in ECC also, you have the authorization object for the company codes, right? Same thing will apply here also. Okay, so using this, you can customize your own SAP Fiori Launchpad. Okay, so we understood how the roles works in SAP Fiori. We understood what is SAP Fiori apps library. This is a very important thing. Most of the time when you are working on the project, okay, definitely if it whenever you are working on the roles and authorizations, this is a very handy link which you will be using always. From the Fiori point of view, if you go to the Fiori consultant, most of the time, whenever he's working on any Fiori development or maybe any standard Fiori app, he will be opening this to identify what are the objects being used in the background. Okay, so that is one way. I told you you can enter the transaction code and you can identify which particular app I should use in order to access a particular transaction. There is another way also. Okay, now maybe tomorrow we are going to discuss about SAP Activate. So I will tell you how are you going to start the project and what are the activities that you need to take care during the initial phase of the project. How are you going to collect the requirements from the customer, how it is different than SAP asset methodology. But I just want to show you one thing that is called as SAP based practices. SAP S4HANA based practices. So again, you can go to Google and just write SAP based practices explorer. Okay, what exactly is this? Just open it. Okay, it will ask you to log in. If you don't log in, it will not provide you the complete details. Okay, if you log in, then only you will be able to see the complete details. Login can be done from your company's S user ID or your personal user ID is fine. Okay, so let me log in with my user ID. Uh, don't worry about this. It is again asking to log in. Let's try. No, there is something wrong with this link today. Normally this link works. When you log in, you will be able to see all the details. If you don't log in, then you will be able to see only few details. Okay, but maybe tomorrow we will try again. But as of now, I'll just show you what is important here. So maybe let's close this also. Okay, so this is best practices explorer. What do you mean by best practices? So if you remember, we discussed about if you are going for cloud, the only option for you is to use the SAP best practices. You cannot make much modifications. You have to use the SAP system as told by SAP. So SAP has given you the proper documentation. How are you going to do the transaction from the end user point of view? So whatever documentation is provided from SAP now, it is completely Fiori based. Okay, so for example, if you want to go for accounts payables, how are you going to execute the accounts payable transactions? How are you going to create a vendor? How are you going to book the invoice? All those things are available in the best practices. So if I show you S4HANA best practices, just open this. Why it is showing 11? 11 means there are 11 different products on SAP S4HANA from SAP. Okay, so all the products are not relevant to us, but for us, the most relevant is SAP based practices for SAP S4HANA on premise. So open this. Okay, and here you will find for each and every module, you can see for each and every module, SAP has provided the complete scope. Okay, so for example, if I click on finance, within finance, how to perform the accounting and financial close, how to go for the accounts payables and accounts receivables, that is part of financial operations. If you click on financial operations, so complete process of accounts payables, complete process of accounts receivables, all these things are available here. So let's try to open this accounts payables. Let's try if it works. No, some problem. Okay, so you will only get partial information. If I'm not login, I'll tell you what exactly you will not get here. Can someone from your side try this? How to access the best practices? Just go to Google, because I want to make sure that is there anything wrong with my system? Because normally when I click on login button, it asks me user ID and password, and it takes me to this particular screen. Okay, so now this within accounts payables, SAP has provided the complete process flow. Okay, and they also provided the test script. That test script I'll be only able to see once I log in with my credentials. Okay, once I log in with my credentials, when I click on the test script, in that test script, each and everything is available. I think I have the downloaded test script. Yeah, I have one of the downloaded test script. This is not relevant to finance. This is relevant to logistics actually. Let's see what is this process. Procurement of direct material, which means creation of purchase order, doing the MIGO, doing the MIRO, everything is explained in this. Okay, so for example, if I want to know how can I create a purchase order in SAP Fiori, so I can come to this file and you can see all the activities are mentioned here. How to create a purchase order, you can see this is a create purchase order screen. So if I open this, see it is clearly telling you that in order to create a purchase order, which app are you going to use? You can use manage purchase order app. Okay, same way, if I want to create a vendor, which is part of business partner now, right? So if I want to create a vendor, what should I do? So you can see here, change the supplier master. So this is nothing but which app I'm going to use. So I'm going to use the app called as Maintain Business Partner. So similarly, maybe tomorrow we will try for accounts payables and accounts receivables in SAP Activate. I also show you what are the different best practices available. So SAP has provided this complete document in which it is like an end user manual. Okay, as an end user, what are the different apps that I can use using Fiori, right? What are the different data that you can enter? Okay, it is like a, apart from the screenshots, this can be treated as a end user document which can be given to the end user also whenever you are working on the real-time project. Okay, so instead of creating the end user manuals from scratch, we can always use this as an end user manual and also as a UAT document. Okay, why UAT document? If you see this is a format of UAT itself. So you will open this particular app, you will enter this information, this is the expected result, and you will ask for the comments from the business whether it is working as per the business requirements or not, right? So this document can also be served as a UAT document. So end user document, UAT document will now not take that much time because SAP has already provided the pre-delivered templates which can be used. If you just want to add the screenshots, you can add. Otherwise, no need to add anything else. Only you need to add if you are applying any custom processes. If you are going with the best practices, then no need to do anything else. You can just use this template as it is. Okay, so that is another way of knowing which app I should use for what purpose. So one is if you just want one app, you can come here, you can enter the transaction code. It will tell you which app to use. But if you want to do the complete cycle and you want to know how can I create a purchase order, then how can I create a MIGO, then how can I do the MIRO, then how can I do the payment. So you can go for the complete process. Okay, and that documentation is available as a part of best practices. Okay, clear till now? Any questions of whatever topics we discussed till now?
As per your, we can access the SAP Fury through mobile, but let's suppose we are out from our company network, then it is accessible or it is accessible only in the company premises?
So that totally depends upon your organization policy. The ultimate aim of this Fiori is that you should not be location restricted, right? Why we are talking about Fiori? So that if you are traveling, then also you should be able to do most important tasks from mobile device. But at the same time, whether your company is allowing you to do those activities or not, definitely for the top management, they will allow. But for the other users, I don't think company will allow to do the transaction from mobile devices. But it is, I mean, the answer is it totally depends upon the company's policy. Technically, it is possible. Technically, you don't need to be in the company's network. Technically, you can be connected to the internet, and then you can do anything in SAP Fiori.
Okay.
Okay.
And one question: when
Yeah.
we click each, for example, if you take this, the tile manage purchase contracts. So
Mhm.
once you click that tile, there is a program which executes behind, correct? So that
Right.
can be seen using the Fiori designer, or like
No,
what program it is called?
that program is called as OData service. So for each app, there is a corresponding OData service in the background. So if you want to see
Oh,
which OData service is being called for a particular program, that again you can
mhm.
get here in this Fiori apps library. So if you just go down, you'll be able to see OData service.
Okay. So each tile is related to the data service program.
Yes. So maybe I'll show you for manage purchase orders. See, yeah, you can see this OData service. So this service is being called in the background.
Okay, got it. And one more thing is, you mentioned that one of the settings you mentioned, this program can be accessed by the desktop or the mobile device or the iPad or something, right? So other than that, if I want to access the same app using the iPad, is there any other settings required at the high level other than that?
Yes. So, see, that is completely controllable. You can clearly give the instruction to the system that this particular app should be accessed from which devices, even at the device level. So you know today also, if you
Hmm.
want to give the access to the particular laptop, there also you write the IP of that laptop and you give the access, right? So same thing
Yeah,
can
yeah.
work in. So it can happen that from the internet also, from your mobile you are able to access a particular thing, but another user is not able to access. That is because for that mobile, whatever has been the settings, they are managed, and maybe for the top management they have given the access to their mobile, but for other mobiles it is not working. So it can be done at the device level also.
Okay.
Yeah,
One of the
Gaurav.
question.
Yes.
Yeah, this one for till now we have seen only the user transactions, but
Mhm.
how about the customizing transactions? Can be used through Fiori even?
Yes, yes. So if you want to use customized transactions, what you can do is your Fiori developer will create a app for you. Okay,
Okay.
and just remember, see, customized transaction, let's assume we although we are going to talk about this in detail, but I'm just giving you the overview as of now since you asked. So let's say you want to create one report. You want to create one accounts payable report which is not available in the standard system. So what you will do is normally in ECC, what we were doing is we were giving the requirements to the ABAP consultant, because ABAP consultant was doing the front end as well as back end, right?
Yes.
But now if your front end is Fiori, so in addition to the ABAP consultant will write the logic from which table the data needs to be picked, but how it should be displayed in Fiori, that is the job of the Fiori consultant. So in short, you will give the FS, you will write which table to be used in background and how you want to see this report in the front end, but the front end part would be designed by the Fiori and back end part would be designed by ABAP.
Okay.
You were touching, I mean, hopefully you're finished. You were touching on the IMG actually. So how are those things like we are bringing into the tile, or how we are accessing through Fiori?
Yeah, so see, if you are using SAP S/4HANA on premise, you can do the IMG activities, that is configuration activities from SPRO, because you have the SPRO access in case of on premise. Plus, some of the apps or some of the configurations can be done from Fiori also, right? But if you are talking about cloud, if you are working on S/4HANA Cloud, then we don't have the SPRO access, which means all the configuration needs to be done only via Fiori only. That is called as guided configuration. That is a topic that we are going to discuss tomorrow. What is guided configuration, how to access the guided configuration, and whether it will be available on cloud or on premise. Okay,
Okay,
so tomorrow
thanks.
that will get clear, Ramesh. Okay, one last thing which I want to talk about SAP Fiori. So although this is a overview session on Fiori, the transactional level, we will see one cycle on Fiori at the end of the course once we complete the understanding of the configuration changes, what has been changed in the GL, what has been changed in asset accounting. So at the end of the course, we will see one simple transaction, how to carry out through Fiori. So how to create a payment from Fiori, or how to create an invoice, or how to create a new GL from Fiori. I will show you those things at the end. I can show you now also, but as of now, we don't have the data. We have still not created any company code. So that is the reason we will pass this thing towards the end. So last thing which you should remember, I think the thing which Mahesh answered first of all, what is Fiori? So that is, what are the different types of apps? Okay, so there are different types of apps on Fiori. Number one is transactional apps. Second is analytical apps. And number three is fact sheets. Okay, so what is the difference? The name itself tells very clearly transactional apps are the apps which allows to do transactions. Okay, what do you mean by that? Apps which allows you to do the transactions, which means whenever you are, uh, let's say you are creating a new GL, or you are posting the invoice, or you are making the payment. These are all transactions, right? So the apps which will allow you to do the transaction are called as transactional apps. What are analytical apps? Analytical apps means I want to see the reports. Reports can be graphical format, or they can be tabular format. So if I want to see the graphical reports, for example, those are analytical apps. So what kind of analytical apps are available? So if I want to see, let's see if there is any analytical apps available as of now in our launchpad. I don't think so, because we only provided the access of purchase order. But let's see what is the analytical apps for finance available. So let's go for analytics. Okay, so for example, let's try, I'm not sure whether this will work as of now or not, but I just want to show you one example of analytical apps. So let's talk about accounts payable overview. Okay, and you'll be able to see what is the type of this app here. So you can see this application is of type analytical. Okay, so accounts payable overview is analytical application, right? So accounts payable apps, if I want to see this, as of now, if I try, I'll not be able to see because I have not assigned the role, right? So accounts payables, anything, I'll not be able to see anything. I don't have the right of accounts payables at all. So what should I do? I will go to the library, and for this app, I will go to the roles section, and I will copy the role and assign to my user ID. So this is a role which will allow me to see this particular app. So let's do this thing, maintain users, and here I will assign this role. Okay, accounts payable manager. Now again, if I go to my Fiori screen homepage and try to refresh, okay, let's try to avoid the confusion. So I will remove this purchasing related. I don't want to see all these apps which are related to purchasing anymore. So I will remove this purchaser app, delete this, and save it. Right, so again, let's refresh this. Now I should be only able to see the things related to accounts payables. You can see analytics for accounts payables. Just click on this. So these are the different apps which are related to analytics. Okay, let's see if it works, because I have not tried this. This is a complete new system. There is no data as of now. We will create the data and then we will try in detail. Okay, so overdue payables, days payable outstanding, okay, cash discount forecast. This kind of analytics was never available in SAP ECC. There were different reports which you need to execute independently, and then you were creating your own reports in the form of Excel, or maybe if you are using BW, then only you will be able to generate this kind of reports. But now, maybe we will see later on, as of now, there is no data. That is the reason it is not showing any data. But if you see this, once we post any data, you'll be able to see the graphical reports here. If you click on this, it will show you the complete detail about that particular report. That too in the graphical format. You can change the criteria. I want to see by company code, or I want to see top 10 suppliers, or I want to see top 10 suppliers by lowest DPO. Okay, days payable outstanding, which means from how many days this we are not paid to this supplier, right? So these are various factors which you can see, which were never possible to generate in SAP ECC system. Normally, we were generating Z reports. If customer is requesting to provide the DPO reports and all, those were all Z. Okay, and if you want to see the analytics, it was only possible if you are using BW. But now there is embedded BW in place. That is the reason there are a lot of analytical reports which you can generate. Okay, so transactional apps will allow you to do the transactions. Analytical apps will allow you to see the analytical reports in the graphical format also. And fact sheet, the example of this is dashboard. Okay, so think about the top management. Think about the CEOs, MDs. They don't want to see each and every report individually. They want to see just a single screen where they get a complete idea. Just think about your car. Okay, so either car or your bike. So you have a dashboard there which shows you 3 4 indicators. It tells you how much speed you are driving. It also tells you how much fuel you have in the vehicle, right? It also tells you revolutions per minute. So there are 3 4 indicators which you are getting at once. You are not going to another report to see all these things. In one single dashboard, you are able to see multiple reports, and based on that reports, you can take the necessary decisions, right? So for example, if you are looking at your dashboard and you found out that the fuel is less, you will take a decision to uh, refill the fuel, right? Same way, from the management point of view, they don't want to go in each and every report separately. They want to see in the dashboard what exactly is the status of the organization, how our business is performing, and if there is any decision to be taken, they take the decision looking at the dashboard itself, right? So as of now, since there is no data, I'll not be able to show you any dashboard, but we will see once we do the transactions, then we will go and see what are the different transactional apps, what are the different analytical apps, and what are the different fact sheets available from the financial point of view. Okay, so any questions
Yeah,
of
Gaurav,
whatever
there is nothing called configuration apps, only three types of.
configuration? No, that is called as guided configuration. So that topic is actually guided configuration.
Okay.
So
So it is not considered as a type of app.
no, at least in the SAP's terminologies, they don't treat this as the Fiori apps. But obviously, the even if they are not talking about it, but definitely these are also one type of app that they should consider.
Okay.
Okay, but I don't want to confuse you, because if the question comes in the exam, these are the 3 answers.
Okay. And in transactional apps, even what we call that one, master data apps also included, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Transactional means any kind of
Create
transaction.
wonder. Okay,
Yes, so
okay.
there is no separate Fiori app for master data. It is part of the transactional apps itself.
Okay, okay.
Should we search for fact sheet for the fact sheet, what is it, tiles apps?
Yeah, we can go fact sheet if you want. You can just write here in the Fiori apps library. Let's see if it shows you the fact sheets.
But
So
again,
these
I
are the
think we need
different
to
options
have
of
the
the.
data.
Yeah, definitely we don't have data. That is the reason I am not preferring to show it today. But And just an example, I can definitely show you like what exactly is the fact sheet. So which one I should use? I don't know what is this. Let's try. Is this a fact sheet? Yes, this is a fact sheet. So fixed assets for S/4HANA. Okay, this is a fact sheet. As of now, we don't have any data, so we'll not be able to execute it. But I'll show you some examples later on whenever we are going to talk about this. Okay. So any questions till now before we close today's session? Okay, so tomorrow we are going to talk about SAP Activate. Within SAP, tomorrow would be our last session, which will be theoretical. Okay, so we will cover all the conceptual level which is required for this course. Now you understand why HANA is faster, what are the basic properties of S4 HANA, what is Fiori. Tomorrow you will also understand how to implement SAP S4 HANA projects, because you are not going to work anymore on the SF methodology. At least it is recommended by SAP. If you are following or not, it is up to you. But most of the companies, at least from the outside, they are saying that we are following the latest methodology, that is SAP Activate. So whenever you are working for any company who is implementing S/4HANA, they are expecting that you follow SAP Activate methodology. So we'll talk about that. And from next week onwards, we will start directly in the system. We will create some company code. We will do some transactions. It will be a lot faster for you in S/4HANA compared to ECC. Okay, so can we close? Any questions before we close today?
No, not as of now.
We're good.
Okay, no problem. So anyways, if you have any questions, you can clarify in any of the session. It is not like if you have the question to this topic, you can ask now itself. Tomorrow also, if you come across something, you can ask the question. Okay, then thank you all. See you tomorrow, same time. Bye.
Yeah,
Okay, bye,
Thank you.
Gaurav. Thank you.
thank you, Gaurav.